Utie oha echi ponkno. Needs FM.
Yaro Kasambata, Executive Director, the Center for Defense and Security. Yaro Mache.
Yeah, right.
Ebomu to say.
Yami Adaroma.
Yet,
I think Kwemudi na Asidan Kwan is the Miami.
Yeden Yakopansi. Anopa your friend one ye bisa, sir, and ne watch your bosome bakuntem. Na posi fo no mu a yesusu se nipa bonifuo bi abo mutu age omonkwa e de fro omonsem ensemu ete sen wo bambo monsem.
Oh, midatipi na the osha incident a yenya no a well, five instances of a police for Ekom, no. It's establishing a certain pattern, but as long as it is not an organized, crime syndicate that are targeting, police people, then one can say what is happening now is purely a manifestation of, criminal activity in another form. Because, criminals in nature, once police person or chino to bring him to justice, or no super or yeah, whatever he can to escape from justice. And so police people, losing their lives in the course of their duty is widely recognized everywhere in the world as one of the highest risks they face in their work. But the instances are in one or two of these our cases that have happened this year, no. Let's just say you can just see that it's just, police-civilian relationship that has gone terribly bad, and it's just manifesting in a lethal, consequence to the police. The instance I used to refer to this is a Kaswa, case. Is it, Butumburam yesterday, that the gentleman is alleged the police slapped him, and so he went for his gun, and he did what he had to do, and he has to be condemned. It's in whatever way the police handles a citizen, results or the reaction should not be in the citizen, exacting a lethal attack on the police. But here, then, we have to also bear in mind that police also have got enormous responsibility to be civil and very professional to, the people that they are supposed to be bringing under law, so that in the course of their job, such unnecessary instances should not, trigger a policeman, losing his life. So, in all these five instances, it's really unfortunate. But yeah, Kanu Sudan, you also have to bear in mind that we have got some structural challenges with the police service. I think from the medium to long term, we must begin as a matter of urgency, sit down as a nation, the government, civil society organizations, the media, and the entire stakeholders within the criminal justice system. We must come together and begin to look at how best we can reform our police service and reduce some of the challenges they are facing, because our police service for a very long time have been going through numerous challenges that make their work ineffective in the eyes of the citizens. And so I think that this is an opportunity. We can use this crisis moment to reflect on some of the things that ought to be done immediately, in the medium term and the long term, so that young police service should appear to the citizens as a model police service that the citizens are expecting. And then hopefully we can improve the way the police-civilian relationship, as it's now, thereby reducing, some of the, uncalled for instances that may lead to a citizen's overreaction, that, may lead to an unfortunate incident as we saw yesterday.
Na aya na de na create sa enmity no time no edito aye omamufuo ne bambofo ne tem.
Oh, me feel say, generally speaking, no, citizen police relationship, no, a global challenge. Any group of human beings are yedi emra to me assure myself, monfa nipa emfa emra kwan so no. They do a very difficult job because police before back instances are for so simple traffic rules. Obia jump red light, Obia parking in a way he shouldn't park, Obia driving dangerously on the road, and such enforcement on a daily basis even elicit very instances of overreaction from members of the public. That is one. The other instance will be that when you talk to the citizens, they will also tell you that in some of the instances, the police are, overly abusive, and the police are also overly, they use words that provoke the citizens to, react in ways that they shouldn't react. So these are at the operational level, the daily encounters, the routines that the police have with the people on a daily basis in enforcing the law. And then I think the historical foundation of how the police in Ghana was established and how the police in Ghana is trained, how the police in Ghana is maintained, and also is a contributory factor to the breakdown in the civil police, relations. One example, and it's our police are all housed in the barracks. Now I think we have only a few of them that are recently housed, within the community where they live. I think that going forward in the medium to long term, I will say, you're facing out this barrack system of housing police people. Because it was, back in the days of the, colonial era, when you keep a police force, our main duty is to curtail, citizens rising up against, the colonialists, And I think in the process, all the police methods have been repressive, oppressive, and I think over time, it has become the police doctrine, the approach, to how they do their work and all that kind of thing. And is all this put together is what is become a boiling pot, for the police civilian, relationship. Talk of political interference, years of political interference. So you have, people who are not supposed to be in the police service end up enlisted in the police service because of, political connections. And so such even people sometimes they are a bit difficult to manage. You talk to police commanders in their various units and departments, they will tell you that some of these officers over time override authority, they have access to politicians, so you want to enforce simple administrative procedure, and before you see, phone calls are coming from all over the place. These have been years and years of practice which has undermined authority and effective management of the police service. So officers in the police service have enormous frustration. Sometimes they step out of their houses to go and do work, and they are already frustrated. Years of things they bottle down. So the little thing a citizen should do, where you expect that at this point the police will then begin to demonstrate emotional intelligence skills to bring the situation under control. You get the police overreacting, and we hear of all these incidents in the media, and videos go viral and all that kind of thing. So all this put together, are some of the challenges that make us our police service are undergoing, and I think it is an opportunity now that we are seeing this crisis rise to a point where it's become a situation where it's almost like a routine. This is how things have been. We can begin to put in place measures towards transformation. And this must start now and get all the stakeholders on board, so that we can all help. You see, because my little challenge with this is because I think that sometimes the Ghana Police Service, in some of their doctrine and approach, appears that almost say they can solve crime all by themselves. If you don't get the citizens' support and cooperation, fighting crime becomes difficult. Gathering useful intelligence becomes difficult because ubisa citizens are on my paper. Also say me mouth paper, you may in the end expose me to the very criminal we are all trying to put under law. And people have instances of Becca shows that they gave a police tip and they ended up becoming victims to arms attack and all those kind of things. This type of behavior should clearly tell you that any officer who involves himself in that kind of work in the first place has no business to be in the police service. And then also going forward, we should also begin to look at taking citizens' complaints about police performance a bit seriously, so that citizens can hear complaints about a police officer one man handle in a way that the police officer ought not to have done so. The system ought to be seen to be acting effectively towards such officers. If they have to be removed from the service, they should be removed. If they have to be suspended, they should be suspended. If the offense is such that the police officer has to be reduced in rank and taken through basic training again, if he's committed and he still loves his job, he will submit himself to such a process, so that it is seen to be done, so that collectively the citizens themselves now begin to feel that there's no need also, overreacting when a police is unprofessional. I will report the conduct of that police to the authority, because at that point, everybody is assured that the system responds in a way that gives assurance to both the complainant, even the officer who is accused, that the system will be fair, just, and in the end, everybody go home feeling that, I did wrong, and the law has taken, the course it must take. The citizen feels that, it was not worth it taking the law into my hands. I reported my case to the authorities. They have taken the necessary action they have to take, so that together we build a safe society. But if we don't do that, what you are going to have are these instances of a video of torture mate, and then the driver, pounds on a police officer doing his traffic duty, going viral on social media. You see, a policeman, shot a citizen, and eyewitnesses will tell you that, the police didn't treat there, it was not needed. The police shouldn't have done that. So you have all these eyewitnesses accounts. People experience the police on a daily basis in traffic management on the road, and they will tell you their experiences. These are things we should not take for granted. You take all this feedback on board and use it as a way to test all the mechanisms we'll be implementing from now on, to see whether the policies and the programs will be responding to these complaints, so that we can have a change in the face of the way citizens approach police, and especially the way the citizens also, especially the way the police approach their job and how they encounter citizens on a daily basis. I think this is how we ought to be approaching this our situation we have in our hands right now.
Okay, but what's a situation whereby I said you would can police officer bi wo ho be fifie obekọ adwuma no kra no tum se enoma bebre nti na why frustrated. Say police ni ono akasa de ne botum sika beto na taade na ne mpaboa. Be yeso se enya sa na se anka ekoba no. But the situation ni ti sa na akwa no. Empanyimfo atena se aye nhwehan ne yema sa de wi ababedru pempenso we yana.
Oh, yeah, me feel say sanity, years of neglect. Oh. Me were quite a sizable number of my family members and friends in the police service. Most of them in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, 25 years, they will tell you that from the training through to the time they were uniformed and employed, they have to buy their own things. Now, the police officer, impression. They say Juma Obabe, was or invested in his own uniforms were prescribed. So because these are not things they can buy on the market. Or my uniforms, my boots, and all the accessories they use are not things you can easily buy on the market. So the price is normally so for a young officer to invest in his own attire, that is uniform, he must wear this throughout his entire career. You give him a certain sense of entitlement. Say, well, if I spend my money to do this, I must recoup. So when they go on the road and a minor, traffic offense, instead of enforcing the law, they compromise the situation so that financially he can also benefit and then, go and sort himself out. Years of neglect in that area is one of the things that we have to begin to look at. What is making it difficult for us to kit our police appropriately? A cost issue. How do we, improve that, cost issue, improving our finances, our economy in general, so that when you are employed into the police service, the state gives you everything you need to do your work. And, if you go and then you are compromised in any situation, your officer who has direct responsibility for you, will look you straight in the face and ask you, what was the need to collect this gift you collected from this person in the name of XYZ? Why? Because everything you need to do your job is being given to you. So that these Makoto Miami boots, Mato Miami uniform, and they go on the street to do the work, feeling that are they meeting music at all? I must, recoup my investment. So these are some of the things that I'm happy you have mentioned it, so that if I didn't have to say it all from the scratch, it would look like maybe I am imagining things. There are officers who talk to you on a daily basis, who talk to your families and friends about frustrations that they are going through, job satisfaction issues. They feel sometimes they are not treated fairly, So when they get out of their home to do their work, already he's starting his day's work with an enormous amount of frustration. And this is an officer who has got a gun. This is an officer who is, trained on how to use minimal force to restrain a criminal. They are very skillful people. And yet you leave them in a situation where, they have to fend for themselves in a certain way. Then you begin to create an avenue for all these, trappings and, things that, make them compromise, standards in the course of their duty. I think going forward, we can begin to look at some of these things and then resolve them gradually. It won't be an overnight thing. It's not a matter we can solve over a year or two. But as we speak, when we begin to have a clear plan, I bet you a medium to long term, with all stakeholders involved, the media is involved, the community is involved, and you begin to see that we are making incremental progress. That in itself will begin to be reassuring. Say, our police, our system, our government is making efforts to turn things around. What can I also do to help bring about an improvement in the system? But if we cannot measure the incremental progress we are making in the system, everybody begins to assume that this problem I'm seeing today is the same as it was. Nothing will change.
Okay.
And the people begin to also develop unique survival skills. Because as we are speaking, the general public, if they begin to be at the receiving end of police brutality, they will also begin to develop a certain unique defensive skills, towards, such operation. In the end, we are going to have a society that is not governed, by law, and what you are going to have in your hands will be, total confusion.
All right. Now, and what your policy for no one more saying here training B. It's true in approaching circumstance a year a year central region 50 Mantamo.
Meanwhile, police service here, one of the most interesting jobs you can do anywhere in the world. I have been interested in following police work in the last 15 years. And I know that the police work is one of the most interesting pieces of work. You can never have sufficient training on all aspects of humanity. It's not possible. Some of the training the police people would undergo, they will do that on the field in the course of their duty. you experience human nature. It's complex. You can never study and earn a degree and say, I've finished, studying human nature. But having said that also, we know that the police must also be constantly undergoing minimum training, refresher training on the job. That aspect has not been done successfully over the years. Me feel say, even as we speak, you go to other jurisdictions, the police who are allowed to carry a sidearm or a pistol with them, they take it home and bring it to work every day. In other places, they are required to go to training every month to test their, competence on handling the gun, and then their superiors would assign and approve that he has gone through it, have renewed his license for the month. It's done on a monthly basis. There are most of our police officers who are carrying the guns they carry today, and they haven't been to the shooting range for years. They have not been trained on how to, revise all their stress responsive mechanisms when dealing with a situation and you have a gun with you. So most of the time, the police discharge their guns when they are not supposed to be discharging a gun. It's because the training and retraining doesn't take place as much as they should, and in most cases, it doesn't take place at all. And it is part of the problem we have with our service. Refresher training, the minimum training before they pass out is there. That one is mandatory, they all go through it. But throughout their career, in the 5-year life of a young officer, a lance corporal, can we, interview him and ask him how many years or how many times he's been to training, retraining, and refresher courses? And they will tell you that they haven't been to training. And so if they have to encounter people who are complex human beings who are, constantly evolving to suit the situation of their time, and the police is not matching up with similar training on how to sharpen the competence, you are going to have such flaws, happening all the time. And so it is part of the problem. We have to work at it. Training, retraining, refresher courses, emotional intelligence on how to handle people, and constantly reminding themselves that the job they have been called to do is service to humanity. Police service everywhere around the world will tell you they never get enough resources to meet the needs that they have on the job. But when the right officers are chosen, when the right people are selected, it makes the management of such people under minimum resources very comfortable. Because they know they have been called to service. It is not your normal job you can come to do and go home. It is a service that you can even pay with it with your life. And all of them, majority of our police service understand this. But unfortunately, we are getting another crop of police officers that over the years are just, taking the doctrines of the service for granted. And I think that if we are to do a proper assessment well, most of them have no business holding the jobs that they are holding. And so we have a work to do. And I think that the time to start that work is now. And hopefully, in the medium to long term, we can begin to see the fruits of an improved, police service, that the citizens themselves will begin to attest that our police now are appearing to be the police service we are looking for.
Okay, it's a wish a year to say MTT the fire one more quine so etuo eni wom ho and the police service no agea to me say one be review of operations. No ma say MTT the for mo kwa etuo ebeben wom no would you tum?
Oh, mejitum it's answer the kind. One say in the police service you need to do a war in excess of the numbers that are required at any time. And before they deploy officers, they do risk assessment or more risk analysis. Would it require that you bear arms? And so over time, you see that the normal traffic police and as the MTTD are not armed because the basic requirement of their job is not to be confrontational. They are not supposed to be expecting people to overreact with guns when they are enforcing basic traffic rules. But unfortunately, I think the incident we are seeing is beginning to point that the risk is now rising for the police officers who are doing normal traffic duties. And so if the police service now is reviewing the strategy to include weapons for the traffic officers, then it is because it's based on the risk assessment they have done for the time. Now, having said that, there's also a caution. There's also a caution I wish to give to our police authority. I know they know this already, that because the police officers on the traffic beat do not normally carry guns, they have not themselves developed that competence and habit of carrying a gun and doing the work they do. So I hope that they will take the officers through fresh training on how to, be carrying your gun while doing the, traffic stop, so that in no time, instead of reporting incidents of police slapping people, we will not be hearing of police discharging their guns on citizens at the least provocation in the course of doing their traffic operation. And so the training for police officers on doing their stressful work on the sun, high temperatures, the heat, stress level, and they are carrying guns with them. Minor provocations will come between them and the trotro drivers. Even all of us who are not even trotro drivers will give the police numerous stress on the road. I hope that they will begin to learn new competence on how to bring situations under control without using the guns they have, unless the situation calls them to use that gun in self-defense or in the defense of other innocent, bystanders who are standing in the public.
All right. Yaro Kasambata, yada se papa ne in-depth analysis when ya yefa ye bambo munsem. We executive director the ma Center for Defense and Security. Yada se.
Medasiti.
Nyankopon.
Utie oha exi ponkno. Needs FM.